Hi YouTube, welcome back to Wtf Rc Cars. So we've done the quick unboxing and quick look at the PA01. So next I'm going to take you through a basic model setup for an RC car. I'm sure there's plenty of other channels out there with HTX that'll show you how to do drones and everything, but I mainly do cars. And I know some people will want to use this for rock crawlers or Tamiya trucks and things like that. So I'm going to show you the basics of how you set some kind of channel up to use as a steering and throttle, and then show you the way that you can get it bound to the Flysky receivers. So let's bring you in for a close-up look and see how we get on with this one. So first thing I'm going to need to do is tap and power up the PA01. And we'll get a splash screen or whatever model it's on. Then we're going to need to go into his menu. So you're going to want to go manage models. Then we're going to have to move the icon up to the new model. We're going to click new model, not new label. And then on here, if you've got the stock SD settings on here or SD content, you'll have a few Lua scripts for setting up various different planes and things like that. So for me, I'm going to go for a blank model because I'm setting up an RC car. Gives us a fully blank model, nothing set up. So we're then going to go back into his menu. We're going to go to model settings. First off, we've got his model name, so we can quickly set something on there. And you'll have to bear with me because I'm trying to do this left-handed. So next, you've got labels, which you can grant in the screen where you create models. You can put RC cars together, planes together, types of planes, whatever folders you want. I've got nothing set up on this, so I'm going to leave that blank. Then you've got model image, so you can take a photo of your actual RC, and then you can transfer it via USB-C to this. You can put it in your pictures folder, and then you can select this, so you could have an actual picture of your RC. If you just do a bit of Googling, it'll tell you what size you need to make it display correctly on screen. It's quite small, but it's quite easy to do. If anybody wants, I'll do a video showing you how to do that. Then we're going to be using as internal RF. So we come in here, we've got to enable it. So we've got it set up on AFH DS3, so we can turn that on. Then we've got to choose what we're going to bind it as. So for me, it's going to be a classic receiver on this one, so it should work on classic 18. If we come in here, we can choose the CE or FCC power limits. So I'm going to leave mine on that. If we come in here, we can set as defaults for us servos. So I'm going to set mine to 333 because it should work at that. We've got channel 1 as PWM. I'm not using iBus in or out or SBus, and I'm not going to set the SBus signal on any channels. If you do need that, you can set them in there. So once we got that done, we can back out. We can set as power, so I'm just doing this testing on bench, so I'm going to set it to 25 milliwatts. As start channel, channel 1, it's only a 4-channel receiver, so I'm going to drop this down to 4 channels. It's not technically necessary, but it keeps things sane. And then for the failsafe, we can go in, we can set custom, come to set, and then you can just set in whatever values you want. And then I'm going to give it an ID of 1, so it's not going to be shared with any other model. Then we can go to bind. So let's get a battery, and I'll get the model power on. So for this, we've got his battery connected. We're going to need his bind plug in his receiver, because this is an FGR4S. If we turn it on, so we're powered on, we've got it in bind. If we tell it's transmitter to bind, so we're now bound up as lights on solid. Should be able to power it off. Remove this bind plug, power back on, and then we should be bound. At the minute, we've got nothing set, so we can now come out. If we flick through rest as settings, we've got as timers, as trainer mode. You can do the pre-start checks, so we can turn them off if we don't want them on. You got your trims, so you can assign trims. Throttle settings. And then your features and your customizable switches. So if you don't want heli setup on, we can turn that off, and you can go through disabling these if you don't want any of these features to be on this model. Then you've got your switches, and you've got your other menus. So you can tell it to beep when connected to any of these or not. So next we're going to have to set up something to let us use the model. So when we're on this screen, if we jump across, now for me, we've got all these preset. What I would do is power off your RC because we've got it banned. And for me, I'm going to come into all these and just delete them. I find it easier, or it's easier for people new to this to follow. So once we've deleted everything that's in these two, in as mix and as inputs, we can now start creating as what's going to control as model. So if we go into here, channel 1, we're going to want a steering. So give it a name. So on this one, let's just put ST for steering. Then we're going to tell it what we want to control it, and as you move this, it'll change to whatever you're moving. So if we leave it on that, and then we can leave everything at the minute set up. So now we come back to us first one, we can go in here, channel 2, name this one. I'm going to name this THR for throttle again. So THR. Then we come down and we move what we want to use as throttle. Then press the button to select it. Again, I'm going to leave everything as stock. Then we move on to our mixers. So in here, channel 1, give it a name. So ST for steering. And then we're going to tell it what we want to use. So we're going to want to use that, and it'll auto select for steering. And again, I'm going to leave everything at the moment. Let's set a throttle. So again, give it a name. So THR. And then we're going to look for a source. So if you move anything, move the one that you want. Make sure it's on throttle. Then we should be able to back out. And if we go to monitors, we should see we've got a throttle and we've got steering. Then if we move to the next tab, you should see us output again. So it should be able to come back to us main menu. If we power on as RC.
Telemetry connected.
So now it's saying we connected. We've got a reading because it's two-way. We've got steering. We've got throttle, brake and reverse. So they're all working. Then if we look at, say, our steering, it's a bit off-centered. So for this now, we want to go into as menus. We want to go to as model setup. Go into as channel. Go into as edit. We've got a sub trim, so we can come on that. And then we can change a sub trim to correct the steering. So now we've got an RC that will go in a straight line. Then you've got as minimum and as maximum. So we can set as endpoints. So we definitely need to bring this down. So we don't want the servos overstressing. Then we can go to as maximum on the opposite side, and we can bring this down. And again, you don't want it overstressing. So once you've got that right, got it set up, as throttle and brake and reverse, that's all working fine. So yeah, we can do it like that. You can invert it, so if it would turn it wrong way, we can invert it, and then you'll have to set your sub trim and everything up again. But on here you've then got curve and everything that you can set. So this is just to cover the absolute basics of setting up some kind of control. But with Wtf, basically the sky's the limit with what you can set up and play about with this. And you can have the screen layout however you want. You can basically make any output or input be any output. But it's just to give you a real basic idea of how to set up an RC, how to bind, and just to show you that it does work with AFHDS3 receivers, no problem. And this is one of the old classic style. So your trims, they'll work as stock. You don't need to configure them. If we look on screen what it does,
Minimum trim reached.
you can see the steering's all slightly turned.
Maximum trim reached. Trim center.
And you can tell when it's centered. So yeah, that's just a basic setup for this RC. Give you steering and throttle, brake and reverse. But hopefully that gives you some idea of how to set up the very basics, just so you can get a classic receiver working. You've got your power settings, your RF settings, and then how to set the sub trims on the outputs, and basically you can just play around with it, do what you want. But that's should get you up and running at least with Wtf on the PA01. So let's wrap this one up. So there you have it, just a quick run through of the very basic settings to get your PA01 set up to run a Flysky AFHDS3 classic receiver in an RC car. There's loads of dials, switches, all of this is configurable. If you wanted to make it work one-handed, you could literally have your throttle and your steering all on one control. It does give it a lot of options. Certainly for somebody that's got a disability, it's a nice, easy control. If you put a lanyard on this, you've still got quite a lot that you can do all off of one hand. So certainly anybody with any kind of disability, or if you wanted to make it so you can control quite a lot of stuff and record with a camera, if you're running a rock crawler, anything like that, and you want to get some running footage but you need to be able to control something else with your other hand, definitely plenty of options. But thanks again for watching Wtf Rc Cars. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, share to friends and family, and catch you guys again in the next one.